Good morning, everyone. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professional IGP Bangladesh. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professional IGP Bangladesh. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us till the end. Honorable Knowledge Seeker, today I am your host for the morning. My name is Yani Sakta Chaudhuri and I am from Bangladesh. Dear Knowledge Seeker, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. IGP is a social and ISO certified international training institute. In 3 years, we already serve 3 million knowledge seekers from 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 250 plus professions and 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professional (IGP) and ISO 9001, 2015 and 10002, 2018 is the training faculty for skill development which was found in 2020 and is generating component candidates to meet demand in the global labor market by providing professional qualifications. The Institute of Global Professional is an educational institute that provides social work globally recognized and reputable. We serve student and community resource, providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it is not effective to increase one's skill just by acquiring formal education. So we provide effective training and consultation to generate professional generation all over the world. We distribute our services locally, nationally, and internationally to students, job seekers, job holders, and also for learners to respective campus location and distance learning platform. We are an occupational and dependable institution. IGP is one of the famous online institutes from all over the world. Our vision is education is not a business product, it is a part of our human right based on our vision. We are trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminar courses, awards, quiz competition, mentoring, and counseling aids. On the other side, we also trying to serve more than 100 premium services for free like create own portfolio website, resume builder, cover letter, motivation letter, and wall knowledge platform for gathering general knowledge which can upgrade all day. We help to empower you all to learn to meet the expectation and dreams and become highly skilled people. We implement several trainings, programs, webinars, and offline online courses for youth and learners by professional trainers, speakers, and coaches. Our sessions are conducted by globally renowned professionals. To ensure excellent and in-depth instruction, we arrange with qualified trainers, speakers, and instructors. We extend free services to more than 3 million knowledge seekers in 70 different countries. Virtual moose signing with many colleges and organizations have been accomplished. We are working to create a legendary generation of future scholars and citizens who will be accountable. We believe that knowledge is love, light, and vision, so we try to understand the needs of today's generation and will serve them with good research and practiced method. We must have a genuine concern for the learners. We represent more diversity, growth, and innovation are required to lead a session with professionalism, passion, and integrity. IGP members are committed to offering effective base quality service and continual improvement so that individuals who seek information can improve their skill levels and value. Before we move to the next, let me remind you don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friends in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we already completed 1,323 webinars successfully. Now, our presenter going to start our 1324 and our program name is Managing Change in a Multicultural Society. And today we have a speaker. Our speaker name is Agra Dauda Hukum and he is from Nigeria. Before I hand over the stage to our sir, I want to share a very little about our speaker. He is Chief Researcher Monitoring and Evaluation Officer, National Organization Agency, National Headquarters, Abuja, FCET, Nigeria. Now, very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Now, very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, our speaker will face some technical issue. For that, he will join after some minutes later. So please, everyone, wait. Dear IGP knowledge seeker, our speaker have faced some technical problem. For that, he can't join with us. He will join in after some minutes later. So please, everyone, wait for him. Dear audience, our speaker have faced some technical problem. So after a few minutes later, he will join with us. So please, everyone, wait for him. Dear IGP knowledge seeker, we are sorry. Our speaker have faced some technical issue for that he can't join with us. He will be joined with us within a few minutes. So please everyone join and stay with us and enjoy our session. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello,
Hello.
sir. Can you hear
What
me?
what 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 happened? You went off. I could not see you again. Yeah, I can
What,
hear
sir?
you.
Yes. Your you why you
After the
go?
introduction, your network went off.
Sir, please give some description about yourself. Then you can
Hello.
start. Sir, please plus give some description about yourself. Then you can start your
Hello.
presentation. Hello, sir. Hello. Sir, I can't hear you, sir. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can you hear me?
Hello. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please, sir, give some description about yourself. Then you can start your presentation.
My name is Agri.
Hello, sir. Hello,
Hello.
sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Sir, please give some
Thank you very
description
much.
about yourself. Welcome. Uh, you can give your description, then you can start your presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
I am Mr. Agri Dauda Sukukum. I'm a Nigerian monitoring and evaluation specialist, a consultant in general management. I can understand that today we are going to talk on a topic, managing change in a multicultural society. Please be with me for the little time I have to share this with you. Next slide. The only thing that is permanent is change. Talk about problems, and that's how solutions will come. Change in our society is multidimensional, as there are diverse cultures with traditions, norms, and values, mindsets, different trainings, and different kinds of knowledge. Change is inevitable. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. We're going to look at the objectives of this exposition, the lesson we are going to have today, the goals, the benefit to learners, a target audience, the keywords of this presentation. And then we are going to also have an exposition on the content of this exposition, managing change in a multicultural society. Then the summary of the presentation and conclusion. Then we move to the session of questions and answers. That's our quiz questions. Next slide. Objectives of this presentation. At the end of this exposition, you will understand the concept of managing change in our society. You will also know the context of change management and the issues involved in our society. You will understand false narratives, its implications to world peace, security, and development. You will be able to streamline the change in multicultural society with sustainable development goals, with change management in our society despite our divergent cultures. The suggestions in this presentation's objectives is aimed at giving a more broad perspective of mitigations that will be helpful in achieving change in our multicultural society. You will have a rethink and look deeper into the issues of managing change in a multicultural society using various strategic communications methods for global peace building. Next slide. And the goals of this exposition, this lesson today, for you to know how change can be achieved by applying structured process, set of soft skills, resources, and tools to lead people to achieve the desired integration, outcomes, and ultimate outcomes despite our variance in culture. To promote how people from diverse cultures and backgrounds can be managed to come together to form a harmonious global village where people feel valued, accepted, and to live in peace. And to pinpoint some of the world communication issues that hampers harmonious coexistence and has put the world on its toes. One of the goals is also to make Sustainable Development Goals prime implementers consider a paradigm shift in its global outreach, redefine the Sustainable Development Plan framework as per the multicultural change in our multicultural society, and to have a rework on global peace-building frameworks with a robust cross-cutting themes that would deal with false narratives, to trigger the United Nations agencies to look at the microspace narratives that are necessary to solve major world problems for peace-building efforts and initiatives in the world today. Next slide. A benefit to the learner, or you stand to benefit from this exposition, this lesson. You will understand the meaning of this topic in this conversation and some definitions. You will understand change management in a multicultural society. You will understand the effects of false narratives, the impact, the consequences to individuals, community, nation, and the world at large. International development organizations need to look and explore changes that will fit into our multicultural society and current realities in the world. You will understand that the United Nations agencies need a paradigm shift in its functions in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Partnership frameworks. World peace is tied to managing changes in our multicultural society and is the rock in which peace pivots and revolves. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Hello? Next
Sir,
slide.
I changed the slide. Why you cannot? I changed your slide. Don't you check? See it?
Yeah, I said next slide.
Sir, I changed it.
Okay. The target audience. My target audience, those who will benefit a lot from this, the professionals, community development workers, researchers, teachers, lecturers, students, social services workers, international affairs executives, peace builders in the world, and public relations practitioners worldwide. One of the keywords we'll be looking at today is managing, change, multicultural society, false narratives, mitigation, sustainable development goals, frameworks, organized crime, free speech, hate speech, cyber exploits, climate change and economic recession. Managing in this context of this presentation means exercising executive control, directing, supervising, coordinating, and administering policy, rules, plans, programs to achieve goals. In this context of presentation, change signifies the word which connotes to make better, or switch, or interchange, or substitute, or replace as alternative for achieving objectives or goals. Multicultural society in this context is a group of people living together despite the difference in race, culture, religion, tradition, etc., etc., in a community or nation. The false narratives, this describes realities that are not real, genuine, and that cast doubt due to insufficient, deficient, or twisted, inaccurate understanding or inaccurate information that leads to wrong outcomes and affect characters, communities, nations of the world. Our mitigation in this context of presentation is to reduce severity, consequences, risk, effects by certain degrees in unwanted or unfavorable situations. And the Sustainable Development Goals in this context of presentation is an agenda signed by 193 countries of the world, targeting 169 goals to be achieved by 2030 in order to solve some of the world's problems with strategic focus on 17 thematic goals. Now, the word frameworks in this context of presentation signifies the structure that holds a system, holds a concept, contains a text, holds a plan, a program, a project, or policies is a conceptual structure intended to serve as a support or guide for procedures, rules for success to be achieved and get the desired outcome. Organized crime in this context of my presentation is a planned international or national crimes with the purpose of acquiring illicit wealth that operates in the form of syndicates or underworld and are usually operated by high profile organizations or individuals and is a high profile crime. Now, a context of free speech. This is threatening speech. The right to express one's opinion without demeaning someone with the intent to express the truth. This concept is backed by international conventions, mostly humanistic in nature. In this context, hate speech means this is a threatening speech or writing or sign that express prejudice, dislike, anger onto an individual or to an organization or to a community or a state or a nation on the basis of ethnicity, race, religion, belief, status with the intent to harm or cause destruction. Cyber exploit in the context of my presentation means these are activities done remotely or locally as exploits by hackers to access systems, to overpass or bypass rules in order to suit their illicit ambition or goals, the maneuvering of systems illegally for selfish reasons. Then, in this context, my presentation, climate change, is a term referring to long-term changes in weather patterns or temperature that leads to severe drought, warming, loss of species in our environment, lack of food, poverty, displacement, storms, flood, earthquake, etc., etc. Then economic recession in my context of presentation means decline in economic activities affecting the gross domestic productivity, GDP, that is income, employment, manufacturing, wholesales and retail sales. Now let's look at the definitions managing change. Change is a systematic approach in application of knowledge, tools, skills, resources in time to deal with redefining or transformation of an idea. A conversation which lead actors implementing the strategies, managing content in which change can happen, managing the norms, values, connections that are important to global transformation using the power of reasoning for change, return required from the change, the risk involved in the change, what resources are required to deliver the change, and who is responsible for the implementation of the change. To handle change, you need incorporate strategy, structure, procedures, and technologies. A multicultural society definition is a description of a phenomenon. People of different races, ethnicities, nationalities living together in the same community and shares celebrate their uniqueness, languages, art, traditions, and cultural behaviors. In other words, it's a group of ethnic community with multiple traditions and culture living together. And we can expatiate and say multicultural society is the idea that distinct identities and cultural groups should be acknowledged, preserved, supported in our society today, irrespective of race, religion, ethnic affiliation, gender, region, or status in the society. Example of such nations with multicultural society, just to mention a few, are the United States of America, USA, the United Kingdom, UK, Australia, Canada, Nigeria, South Africa, Germany, France, and so many other countries. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. Change in a society is the method by which a society deals with cultural diversity at local level, state level, and national level with situations like segregations, assimilation, and integration, using different dimensions and methods like content integration, knowledge construction process, prejudice reduction, equity pedagogy, empowering school culture, and social structure. When we talk about change in a multicultural society, it has advantages. It shapes ethics, core beliefs, families, communities, relationships, development, participation, persuasion, and patriotism. And lastly, it helps build peace. Next slide. About managing change. In a multicultural society, there are two issues behind us, and there are many advantages before us. Issues like managing sensitivity to racism, managing ethnocentrism and cultural devalues, as it is tied to subculture and multiculture. For the purpose of this presentation, a nation manages the subcultural dimensions, while the United Nations systems manage the multicultural dimensions. The subculture is about issues in local multicultural society in a nation, then managing by national systems. I take that again for clarity. The subculture is about issues in local multicultural society in a nation managed by national systems. The multicultural is about issues globally that cut across various nations of the world managed by the United Nations systems. The global world makes us a single community of diverse nations with diverse cultures living together with a common sustainable development goals. Next slide. The global world has diverse cultures in 7 continents of the world, making us a multicultural society embarked in one United Nations. And to manage this diversity enveloped in different norms, ethics, and values is all about the people first. The strategy models, the empowerment of the people, the communications channels and technology, leading by examples, change by persuasion, development, and sustainability. Next slide. We're going to look at false narratives. False narratives describes realities that are not real, not genuine, and that cast doubt due to insufficient, deficient, or twisted, inaccurate understanding or inaccurate information that leads to wrong outcomes and affects characters, communities, nations of the world. Some of these false narratives are misinformation. False information is a deliberate spread of false narratives, regardless of whether it is intended to mislead to a wrong direction or wrong decision or action. It's a deliberate deception, incorrect information, and inaccurate information. Disinformation is also a false information, is a deliberate and purposeful distribution of false information with the intent to deceive people to believe in something. It may be a policy, a rule, an information, a plan, or programs or projects. Is a strong public relations tool called propaganda, is a tool used by governments, armed forces, businesses, organizations with the intention of correcting damaging information against the entity, that's either the individual or organizations. Let me take this back again for purpose of clarity. This information is called propaganda, is a tool used by governments, armed forces, businesses, organizations with the intent of correcting damaging information against the entity, that's either the individual or an organization, is used during conflicts, crisis times, worn out ties, and for crisis management. One of the false narratives is fake news. It's also a false information developed as a story or a narrative or as an advert or an article written deliberately and being spread in moments of events to suit a misleading intention on an event, e.g., crisis period or war period or conflict or political campaigns. or business competitions, etc., etc. Fake news is shaped news, stories that are baseless, without facts, without evidence, presented as news, with the intent of damaging the reputation of a person or a group or a community or a state or a nation or a business, with a motive of harming the interest or goals of another party, sometimes with monetary gains. Next slide. Fake news is fabricated information to deceive, mislead, is a libel issue. It goes with lying, not saying the truth. It was first used in 1890s by some newspapers, and at the time they call it yellow journalism. It was a kind of exaggerated news with shocking but misleading packages to cause disputes or to discredit competing partners or associates or contenders. It is also called story news. Some call it fiction. It is not right, genuine, truthful, factual, or authentic. The intentions of fake news are to influence political views, business views, governance views, legislative views, judicial views, family views, and personal views negatively. Fake news is lies, deception that looks like propaganda. Example, let me give you an example of it. Election has been postponed in Ukraine because Nigeria postponed its own election due to insecurity. You can see this is fake news. Second example, Naira, dollar, euro, and rupee, yen to be redesigned as world legal tender. You look at it, this is fake news. The third example is the Defense Headquarters has announced that it has captured all territories from terrorists all over the world, and bandits, kidnappers have surrendered. This is fake news. Next slide. There are six have a critical mindset. Ask yourself questions: is this true? Why the news and for? Check the source. See who is reporting the story narrative. Examine the evidence. Don't believe in pictures, images at face value. Check for digital photos hopping. Editing signs. Check for dates published. Check that it sounds right. How to spot real and fake news. Another critical appraisal. The web address for the page you are looking at. Check the publisher, the author, source of information. Look for grammatical errors, incorrect dates, and bold claims with no source. Sensational images. Search profile photos. Now, another aspect is read beyond the headline. Don't just see a headline in a newspaper or in a television and conclude. Get to know it deeper. Determine if it is a joke. Watch for sponsored content. Spotting fake news in social media. Check the sources of other reliable media channels. Check source of information in browsers. Determine if it is a comedy, joke, Watch critically for edited visual interjections. Next slide. Another aspect that is a problem in managing our multicultural society is hate speech. Hate speech is defined as an offensive discourse, statement targeting an individual, group, community, state, a nation or nations on the basis of race, religion, gender, personal principles, or business activity. It may even be political or professional areas with the aim of threatening harmonious coexistence, progress, unity, equity, and social peace. It contains hatred and violent intent. Hate speech can be through face-to-face discussion, text message, audio message, visual signs, and gestures, and so on and so on. Hate speech encourages violence towards a person or a group of people. The intent is to harm or to destroy. Some words associated with hate speech are loathe, abhor, detest, abominate. Next slide. The effects of hate speech. Effects of hate speech are numerous. The physiological aspect, the spiritual aspect, and the socio-economic aspect. Hate speech is abhorrence, inner anger, hidden with a destructive tendency, and can lead to incitement, hostility, violence, and discrimination against an individual or group, or community, or a state, or a nation, or even against a generation. Hate speech is one of the genesis of extreme violence in all the countries of the world. Rebellion, cause of civil war, cause of strife, cause of extreme domestic violence, injustices, banditry, kidnapping, militancy, agitations, etc., are caused by hate speech. Hate speech is a mental venom, poisonous, and pollutes the mind. The physiological and medical aspect, it affects the person's human brain, the area responsible for planning and execution of the right way of doing the right thing. It affects the approach to emotional stability, making the person feel hateful and aggressive. It makes the hormones oxytocin in the human body, the hormone responsible for caring and love and having an emotional, humanistic behavior. Instead of care and love, the person, because of hate speech, will be an aggressive and has a tendency for destructive behavior, very slight provocation. Let me repeat it. Instead of care and love, with hate speech, the person can be an aggressive and have the tendency of destructive behavior on a slight provocation. Now, hate speech is also a spiritual problem. The spirit mind can be affected by hate speech. The soul can be affected by hate speech. It can affect your relationship with people. The opposite of hate is love. So hate can damage relationships with people, with your loved ones, and damage your relationship with your angels. Next slide. Hate speech is more intense than anger. Hate cannot easily be controlled. Anger can easily be controlled. Now let's look at the strategies to mitigate hate speech. Let me say one thing. Hate speech comes from a deeper hate within that is voiced out. Now let's look at the strategies to mitigate it. Accept that you cannot get on with everyone. It's number one strategy to yourself and to other people. Then try and put a positive spin on what they are saying or he or she is saying. Don't look at the negative aspect of it. Always think about the positive aspect of it. Be careful with your emotions. Don't take issues personal and always have a rest of mind. Any slight provocation, try within yourself to have a rest of mind. Do not be quick to anger because it will develop into hate and culminates into hate speech. Now express your feelings calmly and consider using a referee, meaning when you are filled with anger, express it calmly to someone you can confide on, and then pick your battles. Do not fight other people's battles. You can develop a hate because of another person's battle. Don't be too defensive. Consider others' rights. Other people too also have rights as you have rights. Always put yourself in the place of the person. If it were me feeling this same way, is it fair? Is it good? So put yourself in the place of the other person and think about it. And that goes back to the first mitigation strategy we said, accept that you cannot get on with everyone. Next slide. Free speech is free expression of opinion without offending, shocking, or disturbing others. They are international conventions instruments that provides for freedom of association, freedom of speech, freedom of life. There are also national constitutions that capture all the many humanity ideals for freedom of speech. It has a spiritual dimension because as your fight cannot be redeemed by speech, you cannot be angry without using the other person's way of saying it. What I mean is, be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. There is no peace for the wicked. Let bitterness and wrath not be found in you. Let clamor and slander not be found in you. Let malice not be found in you. These are synopses for free speech and provisions for self healing and a space for free speech. When we look at this, part of managing change in a multicultural society, we look at the global insecurity as well. Organized crimes has become the world's greatest false narrative. False narratives are the foundation of all crises in the world. The major relevance of governance is to save lives and property, to care for the welfare of the people and manage cultural diversity. The world can experience global peace if our multicultural society differences, diversity is managed with the right mindsets and false narratives are curtailed. Within the local community, the the world, the municipals, the states, the nations, and then insecurity is curtailed because you want to preserve lives and property in terms of governance. And the seven continents of the world has more than 1 million tribes in languages, meaning the world has more than 1 million divergent tribes with its own cultures and traditional norms and values. Next slide. Organized crimes. This is a planned, well coordinated enterprise that carries out illicit activities across a nation or nations for the purpose of maximizing profits. It exploits people and the systems. This practice involves corrupt practices with intimidation, using sophisticated methods and ways. They have structure, they leverage an authority of its own, backed with intimidation and threats. They use force, they use suppression and oppression, and a lot of cover ups. Their activities are fraudulent and mostly terrorizing, trafficking in persons, racketeering, money laundering, and usually by high profile persons or organizations. Is mostly characterized by asset misappropriation, counterfeiting, and contraband, extortion, and cybercrimes. Another word for organized crime is mob action, or racketeering, or syndicates, or underworld. Let's look at the global cyber exploits as one of the world problems in managing change in a multicultural society. The cyber technology is now a global phenomenon that can be used to manage multicultural diversity for global peace. But development shows that most of the happenings in the world today is exploitative and profiteering, with less regard for managing cultural diversity for global peace and for harmonious coexistence. Cybercrime has become a global concern that cut across all nations, irrespective of race, religion, and ethnic background. There is cyber war in our world today and has affected our industries, manufacturing, and the defense systems. This has become a major concern in our multicultural society. Next slide. Multicultural nature of our society makes it difficult to manage false narratives because every entity has a mindset mainstream to its traditional norms and values, which determines the social quotient of the persons or community. Managing diverse culture is one of the great things that can ever happen to our changing world, and that will bring peace to the world we are living in. Can the United Nations instruments for change champion the changes in our multicultural society with its present sustainable development frameworks? In order to achieve peace across different countries of the world, are the systems well aligned to champion the changes needed? With the present duplications of functions among some of the UN agencies, I think there is a need for a new paradigm shift in order to meet up with the change in our multicultural systems across the global world. There is fiscal misplacement of priorities in managing changes in our multicultural society. This is a necessary requisite for global peace building. And in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals come 2030, United Nations systems has a great role to play in managing changes in our multicultural society. Now, the global economic recessions is one aspect there is a problem in managing changes in our multicultural society. This is a world economic decline. When you talk of recession, is a slowdown or a poor output that affects GDPs of many nations. GDP means gross domestic productivity and is fast slowing down viable fiscal policies and grounding them to a standstill. The World Bank global economic growth experienced a slash down by 1.7% in 2023. And there are indications that many nations' banks are having banking crises and world poverty is increasing day by day at a speedy rate. Let's look at global warming. Global warming is climate change, and the progress in nature is causing global poverty. The rate is a serious threat to managing change in our multicultural society. The phenomenon is unprecedented. As it affects the health, it has implications. It's not quantifiable when compared to the level of understanding of what climate change is all about, especially in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Poverty rate is increasing. Storms, earthquakes, erosion, environmental degradation, air pollution, flood, the fast disappearance of animal species on our planet Earth. Next slide. How to manage change in our society. Let's look at the global perspectives. As an individual, you have to accept what happened, learn from what is happening, and get a lesson. Take a note, note it down, reflect over it, innovate, initiate, invent, and utilize what you accept for a profitable change. Then ask for help when you know you need help. Ask yourself self-help reminder. That is, you should always remember to remind yourself you need help. Have a strategy for specific community-based interventions and look for new opportunities in the community. Take note of cultural norms and values of the community. Use community mobilization to change false narratives. Deal with cultural stress like traditional ethnocentrism, customary regulations by using diplomacy. Design a positive storytelling narratives you can use to mitigate false narratives. Have time to study cultural perspectives of different communities, different nations, for a good ethical value reorientation for the development of our society. We need value reorientation, which is essential in managing change in our multicultural society. Next slide. We'll now be looking at the effects of false narratives on global security. False narratives are recurrent happenings in our day to day development in the world. The effects are enormous. It misleads leaders, legislators, judges, businesses, and promotes wrong perceptions, breeds bad assumptions, give room to poor sense of judgment and wrong decision making. We can give an example is the Iraqi experience, the Libyan experience, the Palestinian experience, etc., etc. False narratives. It makes those things that are real look fake. It makes the right wrong and makes the wrong right. Is the cause of fear, panic, stampedes, suspicion, and hatred in humanity. Aggression, rebellion, and agitation, strife, extreme violence, and wars. is the cause of psychological, emotional, and socio-economic problems among entities. That's the individuals or community or state or nations. False narratives causes disinvestment and lack of trust in international trade relations. Next slide. There's a continuation of the effects of false narratives. It causes plans, policies, programs, projects, ideas to be derailed or grounded. Is the cause of hostility or hostilities. Is the cause of fights. Is the cause of conflicts. Is the cause of political thuggery. Is the cause of terrorism. Is the cause of militancy. It leads to demonstrations, rampage, civil unrest. False narratives. Improper narratives in mobilization on global warming, climate change affect multicultural societies and the economy of nations. Improper narratives concerning cyberspace, cloud technology, and architecture affect multicultural societies negatively. Do we talk about the global economic meltdown? Yeah, false narratives affect the survival of humanity on Earth and compound cultural diversity problems in the world. On global warming, it affects the survival of humanity on Earth and is compounding the issues of food insecurity in our diversity and is a major problem in the world. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, we've talked about false narratives and its effects. Now let's look at the strategies to mitigate false narratives. The United Nations systems should consider shaping the world narratives with facts through verified sources. Get ahead of the information source or platforms irrespective of host nations through the United Nations information centers. Secondly, increase digital literacy for people most vulnerable to information worldwide via the UN agencies. Third, conscientize the people, sensitize the people on the issue of sharing false information and its effects as a result of their actions and how it affects multicultural society and humanity. Next, mainstream gender accuracy of information to older people, women, youths, children, to curtail false narratives on gender issues in our multicultural society. Use strong social media for mitigations, such as WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, etc., etc. Now, one of the strategies to mitigate false narratives is global stakeholders to be proactive and not reactive to false information. And then debunk misinformation, debunk fake news, debunk hate speeches by using the right messages and diplomacy. One good aspect of it is use community stakeholders, partnership, collaborating platforms to mitigate false narratives. Next slide. Use micro influences. They can be powerful in their cultural communities and are powerful amplifiers to larger community audience at the community level, irrespective of cultural norms and values. Next slide. I believe you will understand at the end of this presentation. I have a summary. Excuse me. I have a summary. The world will be a better place for all when we all desire to live with one another, irrespective of race, ethnic affiliation, traditions, norms, and values, religious beliefs, and if we can tolerate one another. Secondly, we can experience world peace if false narratives can be curtailed, managed, and mitigated appropriately. Thirdly, if the agencies of managing changes in our multicultural diversity in our society can mainstream, manage our diversity space in the global world according to our multiple traditions, norms, and values, we will have a changed world. False narratives in the world today is the world's problems. And once they are properly mitigated, managed, there will be world utopia, a world of peace and joy and harmony. Every culture is your culture. Cultures are made by men. If only you can learn to tolerate the culture of one another. Just like the culture starts from the tradition, and the tradition is from Adam since creation, so we are one. Next slide. In conclusion, Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations can be achieved if false narratives and the changes in our multicultural society are mainstreamed with the United Nations Sustainable Development Partnership Framework with various nations and national development plans. Global peace is about managing false narratives across the globe. For world peace and sufficiency in food security, the desired peace can be evolved using strategic peace-building narratives that can be driven across all multicultural societies in the world. I will say on the 15th of June 2023, we will take an exposition lesson on value reorientation on this same platform. Don't miss it. See you then. Next slide. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, sir, for your rich content presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers surely. After your presentation, I hope our seekers can learn something new, which is our only intention. Once again, thank you so much, sir. Now, sir, it's time for our question answer session, which is one more valuable part of our regular webinars. Honorable sir, please stay with us. After a short video, we'll be back in our session part 2, which is the question answer part. Okay, sir?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. So, sir, please wait for
Yeah.
some minutes. We'll be back. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Dear IGP knowledge seeker, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have a webinar certification and online quiz competition. After short video, we'll be back. So please stay with us and enjoy our question answer session. Once again, welcome back everyone. It's time for our questions answer session. Dear IGP knowledge seeker, if you have any question, you can ask in our comment box. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have a webinar certification and online quiz competition. Now let's welcome back our speaker. Once again, welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much.
Dear IGP knowledge seeker, if you have any question, you can ask. We are waiting for your question, so please ask your question. Dear IGP knowledge seeker, we are waiting for your question. Please, if you have any question, you can ask in our comment box. Our speaker will answer those questions. Sir, I think there is no more question. I think you covered all the. I think you covered all of the topics, so there is no more question. Once again, thank you so much,
Okay,
Honorable Sir, for your time in IGP. We have learned a lot from you with new topics. It will add some value to our day-to activity along with our academic and professional growth. Honorable Sir, hope to see you again with a new topic and a new date. Thank you, sir. Take care.
thank you very much. I appreciate
Okay.
a lot of that.
Sir, before we
Thank,
move to the next webinar certification process, if you want to leave this studio, you can, sir.
okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Most welcome, sir.
I have to leave because I need to go to work now.
Okay, okay, sir. You can
So
go now.
thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the most engaging part of this webinar, which is an online quiz competition, which is our regular webinar activity. Now, time for online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instruction carefully. First, you have to go www.slido.com and find today's quiz or scan this QR code for direct joining. And quiz code is Global IGP. Quiz code is Global IGP. After short video, we'll be back. So please in the meantime, please everyone join in our quiz session and enjoy our quiz session. Dear, dear IGP, the most engaging part of this webinar, go to www.slido.com. Then you have to enter the code, and the code is Global IGP. And the code is Global IGP. We'll pick your name from Slido, so join with your full name, which will directly print on your certificates. And top 10 will be awarded with this quiz competition certificate. And top 10 will be awarded with quiz competition certificates. It is easy to join the quiz part, so mention your friends to join the quiz competition. It is easy to join the quiz part, so mention your friends. So join it to join our quiz competition. Already have 20 people with us. Within a few minutes, we will start our quiz session. So please everyone join in our quiz session. If you want to join our quiz session, first you have to go www.slido.com. Then you have to enter the code, and the code is global IGP, and the code is global IGP. And don't forget to mention your friends to join our quiz session. Top 10 will be awarded with your quiz comprehension certificate. Already we have 21 people. And the code is global IGP. The code is global IGP. Our quiz link is www.slido.com. Then you have to enter the code, and the code is global IGP. Now let's start our quiz session. So please everyone be ready. And first question is in the B2B, the option 1 good service is the driver in purchase. Second option is efficiency of the plant is the driver in purchase. And the correct answer is option 1. And 42% people are right. Now we go for our second long question. The question is this statement is an organization clear, meaningful, concise long-term statement of function in society. Is it option 1 vision and second option is goals? And the correct answer is option 1 vision, and 82% people are right. For our next question, the goals of the social change model are option 1 positive social change, second option is becoming the best leader at UCF. And the correct answer is option 2 becoming the best leader at UCF, and 21% people are right. Then next question is Durkheim argued that when integration in a society is excessively low, individual commit which type of suicide? And the correct answer is option 1 egoistic, and 82% people are right. Move to our next question. The goals of the social change model are option 1 positive social change. Second option is becoming the best leader at UCF. The goals of the social change model are option 1 positive social change. Second option is becoming the best leader at UCF. The correct answer is option 1 positive social change, and 9% people are right. What's the next question? In pure competition, there are a dash number of sellers. Is it option one large and second option is small? And now we're going to see our correct answer. And the correct answer is option one large, and 96% people are right. Move to the next question. A personal computer in your kitchen can help you do all except option one, develop new recipes. Second option, playing menus. And the correct answer is develop new recipes. Move to our next question. The question is in market research, secondary source data is option one, done already published. Second option is data obtained from a third party. In market research, secondary source data is it option one or option two? And now we're going to see out the correct answer. The correct answer is option one, and 35% people are right. Next, as society mode of production creates the distinction and relationship between inhuman societies. Is it option one true and second option is false? As society mode of production creates the distinction and relationship between classes in human societies. Is it true or false? And the correct answer is true, and 96% people are right. Now we're going to last question. Europe has the largest consumer affluence, and everyone internationally wants to get to market in Europe. Is it option one is true, and second option is false? And the correct answer is false, and 26% people are right. Congratulations, Shaila and Miyasi, Thailand. He is a top one. Then in second position we have Ya. In fourth position we have Jamie Lian. In fourth position we have Charlene Saliujo Yamaguchi. In fifth position we have Alex Jabai Alviraj. Congratulations, our top 10 quiz competition winner. We have all of your name which you entered during joining. We'll pick your name and prepare certificate and we'll post them on our Facebook official page and group. Our Facebook official page and group name is Institute of Global Professionals. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition winner top 10. Congratulations again. Slido will take a few minutes for finalizing the result, and after that, we'll issue our online quiz competition certificate on our Facebook official page and group. And page and group name is Institute of Global Professionals. At the end moment of our session, we can say properly feed your skill. Never stop learning cause life never stop teaching us. Be happy and stay safe. See you again and again. We want your participation in our every program. If you want to live a happy life tied to a goal, not a people or things, Albert Einstein. Before I say or hit the end live button, again wants to thank all IGP knowledge seeker for your active participation as always. See you in the next session. Till that, stay happy and blessed. Thank you, everyone.